Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the universe, whoever is listening to this transmission, this is Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. My name is Herschel36, a Jewish name, of course. You can see the irony. And I have some wonderful guests with me, and I'm going to start on my right-hand side of my screen with Mr. Zen Gardner.
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Herschel. It's a real honor, and I think this is a really important subject we're going to talk about today, but I think more important, it's the fact that we can all meet each other and hook up and generate, more energy and hopefully enthusiasm for people to take action and help awaken people around them. My name's Zen Gardner. I have a website called zengardner.com, and I'm a writer. I do radio and things like that, and I speak. But my passion is truth, and my passion is the awakening of humanity to what's really going on, but not just that, but going beyond that to where our true resources lie, our true conscious awareness, and nothing airy-fairy or new age. It has to do with our spiritual empowerment. And people get to that point pretty quick once they see through the veil. So my passion is exposing that, and chemtrails is a big part of it. I'm really happy to be here.
Great, Zen. It's great to have you. We actually have online a pilot. We have Willem with us, and I think it's key to have that kind of input, because then people can say, I've got friends who are pilots. My son wants to train as a pilot, and my mates, well, one in particular, Willie Lorenz, he says that I'm mad as a hatter, because if he was a pilot, he's a pilot, he would know. That's what he says. So Willem, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Herschel. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be on your show, and it's very important what you do, and it's much appreciated. And although it's not a nice subject, I think it's a very positive thing that more and more people are waking up on this matter. And the good thing of chemtrails is that you can really see it, so it's more difficult to deny it. And because of that, more people are waking up on the fact that there are things going on which we don't know. I'm a former commercial airline pilot. I was a pilot for 25 years. And during that time, I was a former whistleblower because of over toxic air in the aircraft. And because my health was seriously deteriorating, so I started doing research, and I discovered that I became sick because of toxic elements in the aircraft. And that was this whole episode was shortly before I became aware of these ongoing geo-engineering programs. It took some time for me to accept that, really. And to see it takes some time for the mind to accept such a thing, which is so out of the box, although it's in your face. But again, that is the nice thing of geoengineering. It's really in your face, especially now, and it's more and more visible. So the good thing is that people are then becoming more involved in this because they cannot deny it. And although it's a very bad thing, I think it creates a lot of beautiful opportunities for us as humanity to reconnect with ourselves, our inner selves, and with each other, and to come to action from the heart. That's what's happening. So that's the good thing of it. But that doesn't exclude the fact that this is really nasty, toxic, devastating programs. But it took some time for me to see it, also with colleague pilots. But more and more pilots are waking up from this.
Ole has told me a story about you twice, and I will ask him to go into that, because I want confirmation from you, Willem, that to confirm that the story is on point. But basically, there was a point when you were aware of the conversation and you were clear there's no way chemtrails could exist. If you were a pilot, you would know about it. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I got this question from somebody in Spain who knew who was related to a sort of conspiracy theorist somewhere there, and he was telling about chemtrails. So he said, "Well, I know a pilot. I will ask him." So, and that time I was still fully operative as an airline pilot. I was a flight instructor and a trainings captain. So I had quite a knowledge of aviation and the technical aspects of it. So I was confronted with this question, and I looked into it from my perspective, from my knowledge, from my technical knowledge as an airline pilot, and based on that, I thought this is technically impossible. Besides the fact why they would do these kinds of programs, but after that. Of course, I kept in sort of open mind on this, and because I was then a whistleblower before that on other subjects in aviation, and the dynamics are the same. You get confronted with information which is so out of your box, you don't accept it. The same with whistleblowing over toxic air. You don't think that your employer is aware of this. So you deny this, and it takes some time to accept it. Same with this chemtrail. So after this, I start looking more into this, and then I couldn't deny it, and I stepped in the boat.
You did.
I stepped out of the airplane and into the boat because I never board an aircraft anymore. Also not as a passenger, because I'm now aware what you're being exposed with, and you don't want that if you can avoid it.
Well, that's really interesting, because I'm heading off to a pilot's exhibition in Madrid with my son on Saturday, so I'll have to speak to you but that can wait offline. So our last guest at the moment is Ole Dammegard, a welcome friend to Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. How are you, Ole?
I'm doing absolutely great, thank you. And I feel really blessed to be among these courageous warriors. This thing that Willem talks about, that was in 2009, when I was doing a series with Talk Radio Europe, and I think that was one of the first programs in Europe that was talking openly about these things. It was with Steve Gilmore, and we were really putting ourselves on the line, getting out there, and I was getting a lot of feedback from like listeners that just could not believe that this was happening. At the same time, they were looking out through the window and seeing that, my God, there must be something about it. And that was when this famous call was made from Marbella to Willem. And that was 2009. It's still going on. I mean, they're spraying us so heavily from time to time in different periods. So this really needs to stop. It's not, it's just year in, year out, and we're breathing in all of this crap that they're dumping on top of us. So not good at all.
So just to put everyone into context, I reached out to Ole a number of weeks ago, and I said, have you seen the chemtrailing? Now, I'm quite new to this whole conversation. Ole then suggested that I take a bowl of water and stick it in the garden and take that water to be tested for four elements. I think that's how you would describe them. One would be aluminium, the other would be barium, strontium, and then arsenic. Now, I haven't got the results back yet, but I can tell you that I've videoed 5 planes consistently, it seems, streaking across the skies of the south coast of Spain over the Mediterranean, dumping huge white trails of something. Now, I've got video footage of that, and that will be in this video now, and that's live footage. It happened yesterday. I was down the bottom of my hill by the Mediterranean, and I pointed to the sky and I said to some passerbys, do you know what that is? And they said no. Okay, so Zen, what's your opinion of chemtrails? Is it real, or is it a conspiracy theory?
Funny. That word conspiracy theory. You know, that was invented by the CIA to debunk anybody questioning the JFK assassination. But, and now it's become a stigma. But personally, I think the word conspiracy is a powerful one, and I use it continually. But yes, it is. It is a conspiracy. It is what they call a black operation, something that they think we don't deserve to know about. It's as clear as anything. I live down in Uruguay, and if I showed you the skies today, you'd see the same chemtrails. We don't get the direct jet dumps right over us. They float them in from another direction, but they make blue skies white almost daily, and it's horrific. I've researched this for a long time. The evidence is overwhelming that we're being poisoned. The amount of aluminum in the soil, the other toxins that have been identified by independent laboratories, the very, very well qualified researchers who've come up with information that is overwhelmingly confirming that this phenomenon is going on. Hundreds of documents available in government patents for this very thing. It's going on massively worldwide. So clearly governments are in on it because, for whatever reason, they may have been blackmailed, they may have been pressured, they may have been told a lie. What they call it is solar radiation management, as if they're going to reflect the sun from the earth to lessen global warming, which is insane because actually it captures the heat of the earth and makes things even hotter. Never mind the particulates that come down, which have increasingly different ranges of contents that are nefarious. They're horrific for human health, for plant health. Trees are catching fire more easily due to these heavy metals that are in them. The evidence is overwhelming for anybody who's willing to look at it. But the way the social engineers work is to deny, and play on this very shallow vibration of human consciousness in the general populace, which is, completely manipulative, completely dishonest, completely other agendized. There's something else going on. Now, there's a lot of theories about why it's being done. Obviously, they wouldn't spend this much on a program this massive if it didn't have multi-level effects on the planet, on humanity, on the advancement of military agendas, on the biggest one, which is the most easily evidenced, is weather manipulation. They can actually move weather around the world, cause droughts, cause flooding, have massive effects on economies, on people's ways of life. It is a very, very pervasive program that affects every level of our lives. So this is why it's something that I'm very passionate about. I've written about it for over 9 years. Other wonderful researchers such as Dane Wigington at geo-engineeringwatch.org, he presents continually new evidence, very compelling evidence, and there's a lot of websites that can give you information in this regard. And once people get educated about it, the most important aspect is getting motivated to do something about it. Bring awareness, first of all, to your community, such as Ole's been telling me about the horrific spraying on the Sun Coast there. It's being stepped up. It has a dulling effect on the human mind and consciousness. It can be used for a lot of things when you get into it, but whatever, without having to even identify every aspect of it, it's wrong. It's anti-humanity. It is covert. It is being hidden, but in plain sight. I mean, the biggest screen on planet Earth is the sky. And this is playing out, and so many people can't even see it, or they're afraid to see it. Or it implies, like the use of this conspiracy theorist stuff, it implies that you're jumping off the deep end into some weird stuff. But you're not. It's simply what it is. And wonderful headway has been made in this regard. Like Dane, he's had, and I sent a bunch of videos off. I hope Ole forwarded them. But Dane's had community board meetings where they agreed to pursue it further in the area he's in, Redding, California, which is the north of California, which gets horrific spraying and has for a long time. Dane, for example, has a completely off-grid home powered by solar energy, and he's seen a 15 to 30% reduction in the amount of energy he can receive from the sun since these have been sprayed on the sky. And that's what got him involved. He saw the tactile proof, the evidence that something is really wrong, and he pursued it. And like a conscious, loving human being like he is, it took him to a new life of activism, and this is all he does now. And he's passionate, and there's many people like this. And it's important that people in Spain identify the problem and not just take it to their officials, but energize their community about this, to where the awareness has a many-fold effect on each other and their local government. The local government's the key, I think, because central government is pretty far gone. But if people can take that empowerment and start to move in an effectual way, this is the key to our survival at this point, because it is a question of survival. That what's happening with chemtrails is it's shredding the atmosphere. There's more, not just ultraviolet A, which is the normal ultraviolet, but ultraviolet B, UVB, which is coming through, and that's what's stripping bark off of trees and causing terrible. That's what you feel when you get this burning sensation in the sun now you never got before from direct sun. What was that? Why is it so strong? They've stripped the atmosphere and the ozone level, and it's affecting the magnetosphere. I mean, this is very serious stuff. But this is what typically the powers that be will not address. They will not give us, they won't even acknowledge it, never mind give us real answers. So we can't appeal to them anymore. It's not to them we appeal to each other and build momentum and community and make our voices heard. And I think that's probably the most important thing we can do, and I hope that energizes people that are listening.
Herschel36, I'm working on a brand new album. The best is yet to come. It's political electro-punk. Click here, like and share. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, what we're seeing here, what I'm seeing, experiencing here on the coast is pretty frightening, actually, because I personally feel that this is an attack on humanity. And that's why I took the water to the laboratory to get it tested. That's why I reached out to Ole to get some guidance on this, because I don't know. All I know is, as a father, I can resonate that something is happening that just isn't right. Now, Willem, I'd like to bring you in at this point, okay? Because I swear to you, like a military operation, these planes go across the sky, and there's one plane that seems to lead the others, and then they go from one side of Africa back over the mountains of Malaga, and then they keep on going. They refuel or whatever. But what is it today? It's Wednesday today. On Monday we had a beautifully blue sky, and then the trailing started again yesterday, and now we have a covered sky, and we've got 10 days of storms rolling. But how do you think they do it?
Well, these geoengineering programs, this is such an extremely multi-layered operation that it is extremely difficult to pinpoint exactly how they do it. because it's so multi-layered. It's commercial, it's military, it's embedded in the fuel. What you see are also sometimes so-called normal persistent contrails, because they change the type of fuel. So they make use of cheaper kind of fuel, which causing the combustion process to be less effective, and because of that you have more particulates in the exhaust, and because of that you see persistent contrails. But it doesn't mean that these are chemtrails, that these persistent contrails have aluminium, barium, strontium, biological elements, nanoparticles or nanotechnology in it. So it's very difficult to judge on what you see, what they are doing. But for ourselves, it's true, these programs are going on since the beginning of the 1900s, and it's all very well documented that they were doing this. Different operations during different wars, they were testing these programs during the Vietnam War. It's all documented. All the patterns, they match exactly what you find in your samples. You can keep it very simple, and I think that's very important to keep it simple, because we are waiting for the moment that the officials or the government will admit that they are doing it. Well, they are not going to do that unless they decide to do it. So it's very important to know what you want by looking into this. What do you want to achieve? Do you want more proof? And that you can find more and more proof, but you're waiting for the officials to admit that they're doing it. Well, they do this when they decide to do that. So I think we should not wait for that to happen, but to keep it simple. And exactly what Zen just said, this is an opportunity for us to see that there's something really wrong. Keep it simple. All the testing you do your water samples, do your blood samples. You can do these samples. I did it as well last month in France, in Holland, and they all prove that all the elements are there in the water. There was like 5-6 times the toxic limit of aluminium. It matches exactly the geoengineering patterns. You see the health problems around us, respiratory problems, respiratory mortality rate is now jumped up from the 8th to the 3rd place in the United States and is increasing. So look around you and look up. What more do we need to know? So we must be very careful that we don't dive in this rabbit hole, but make use of it to step out of our fragmented experience of life and connect with each other in the community, and that's empowering, and that's what's causing a real change. Because otherwise, we're now sitting for years behind the computer, and that's not a negative, positive way. And more, and making pictures of the sky, and more chemtrails, and this is in the chemtrails, military, commercial. Well, it is there. We know it's there, and for everybody who wants to know it, just look into it. But the most important thing is that we contact with each other, the physical contact, to talk with each other, talk about these problems, because from there we will address other problems, and then we will see that we're all in this together. We have the same. It's true what you say. This is just a tiny part of a toxic war, toxic assault on humanity and our Mother Earth. So, but it takes some time for us to step out of the fear modus. And that's why it's so important to really come together on a physical level instead of only behind the computer. But it's very important, of course, the information field. Make use of it. But we should be careful that we don't dive into this, because it's an ongoing rabbit hole. And the atmosphere is already changed in an ionosphere. What we see now, if you look up, it's not the sky anymore, it's not an atmosphere. They actually did, in the 50s, 40s, 50s and 60s, they tested in the ionosphere all kinds of nuclear tests. They were testing in the ionosphere to make use of the electroconductive characters of the ionosphere. And now they perfected it, excuse me, but now they're using the atmosphere as an ionosphere. So it's saturated with particles, with nanoparticles. It's a plasma, it's an electroconductive plasma you're looking at. So that's why they're not steering it only up, you see it more because it's saturated with these elements. So And in all these years, we're continuing talking about it and seeing it, but more powerful, exactly what Zen is talking, this will reconnect us with the insight that we are humanity. We are not me, it's not it's humanity, and it's Mother Earth. And the geoengineering is a beautiful opportunity to realize that, because it's so visible. It's different than the radiation. I mean, we were very happy with wireless technology. We put our children on all wireless technology, which is even worse, maybe, health-wise. But we didn't talk about it like this because it's not visible. EMF frequencies, radiation is not so visible, but it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there. Wireless technology shouldn't be there at all. It's as toxic as the spraying. It works together, actually. So, but again, it's a beautiful opportunity. Beautiful things arise from it, because people are meeting each other on a heart level, immediately contacts, because we are in this together. So that's the most important thing of it.
Some really interesting points there, actually. So you're saying that it's not just military planes, but they're also, in your opinion, using some form of commercial planes. Is that correct?
Yeah. Okay. I think all commercial airlines are in this. They're also producing these so-called persistent contrails, chemtrails. Some of them are really fully aware of that. They're working in the programs with full consciousness awareness. Some of them they don't, because it's embedded in the fuel. They centralized the fuel. Some years ago, they centralized the distribution of fuel. They changed the type of fuel to GP8. So that is cheaper fuel. So what you see, I mean, a contrail, you cannot see a contrail. That's technically impossible. Physically, it's impossible. You have to meet certain atmospheric conditions, and they're almost never there. So, and because of that, you cannot see these persistent contrails. There must be an extra element, and that is the presence of particulates. So that fact alone, but the airlines, they're not aware of it. Maybe some really inside people in the airline industry, but they are now slowly making the geoengineering. They want to offer geoengineering as a solution for the global warming problem. That's where they're now going to. So it will take some time after the climate summit in Paris. Legal framework is in place. It's a matter of time that they will come up with a solution for global warming, and one of that is geoengineering, and it's published. They want to achieve, for instance, what Zen said, solar radiation management. They want to achieve blockage of the sun. Well, they already did that. 25% less sunlight on the Earth, global dimming. It's already there. Everything what they want to do, it's in the test phase, is already there. The only thing what's missing is that they admit that they're already doing it. For the rest, everything is in place. Visible or non-visible, it's always there. So they will come up with an explanation that this is to help us. The same. I mean, it's after when the smoking was it was evidence that smoking caused cancer. It took 80 years before it was published on the package. So we shouldn't wait for them to admit it's what we should stick to what we want and how we can achieve change, not in their field, but in how we can achieve change, and that's by connecting and talking, and that energy is causing change, because it's more difficult for them to implement it, because it's getting less energized. It's less easy to implement it, because a lot of people also, by waking up of this, are not accepting it so easily anymore. There are solutions, because they know, the solution. No, they don't trust it anymore. So
a couple of names come up for me. One is Sophia Smallstorm, who you've all heard of. If anyone hasn't heard of Sophia, look her up. Absolutely awesome. And she told me about the radiation that comes out of the Wi-Fi routers, the routers, and of the mobile pillars. So I bought a little radiation box and I started testing. It's just insane. So I forbid my children to take their mobiles to bed with them, as an example, and turn off the Wi-Fi at night just to give us a break. And of course, the other person who came to mind then is a guy called Jeff Berwick from the Dollar Vigilante, and Jeff's an anarcho-capitalist, and he doesn't believe in the banking system, and he doesn't believe in big government. And looking into it, neither do I really. I don't think we don't need government to tell us their chemtrails are taking place. We don't need that confirmation. It is taking place, right? And we're big enough and ugly enough to do something about it, because ultimately I feel that the people who are in control need our commitment before they can move ahead with things. We've got to say yes. So moving over to Ole Dammegard, Ole, having lived on the south coast of Spain for many years, now clearly, Willem, where are you? You're in Holland, are you?
Yeah, I'm now in Holland, yeah.
And Zen's in Uruguay, and you're on the south coast of Spain, and we're all experiencing chemtrails, okay? What's going on for you right now, Ole?
What I think is important is, since I really focused many years on trying to expose thoughts like terror, that state-sponsored terrorism, inside jobs, and also top political assassinations. And one of the things that I found out very early is that do not expect the government or the authorities to solve these things. On the contrary, they are part of the crime. The investigations that are put there, the official investigations, are part of the crime, and the commissions that will follow are part of the crime. And here we see again with chemtrails, this is very visible. As soon as you start seeing them, when you open your eyes and actually see what's going on, they're so obvious. This is a blessing, just like Willem said. It's a blessing in itself that it's so obvious. So the people in the military, for instance, here in Spain, Holland, England, they are not stupid, And the people in government positions, the people working in with weather reports and weather studies and so on a top level, are very aware as well. So why, for instance, these planes that are, once you start seeing it clearly, that they're letting out these incredible amounts of aluminum, barium, strontium, whatever it is, in the different countries, why are these planes not forced down? Why are they not shut down if they don't condemn? Why? Because it's approved. They are approved. Why are they let to fly straight across the airport in Malaga, for instance? You can see them crisscrossing right over the airport. Why is that allowed, if not from the top level? A top level. And this is where we get into where the Freemasonry network, the secret hidden networks like the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Commission of 300, the Council on Foreign Relations, these groups that are where the members are often part in more than one, they are the ones pulling the strings, controlling key people in key positions in all Western countries at this time. So just like with the big political assassinations like Olof Palme and many others that I devoted some 30 years trying to expose what's going on, many others that started at the same time as I have been constantly approaching the authorities, the official investigation, for them to confirm or find out. They're still standing on the same spot, looking at the crime site saying, was it the patsy, was it not? Was it the patsy, was it not? I've written a book called Coup d'etat in slow motion. It's almost 1,000 pages about facts that I found without contacting the official investigation, because then I would have been standing there as well. We need to do this ourselves. We need to do it ourselves. If they approve of it, that means they're in on it. On whatever level, if they're sort of forced into it or paid off or whatever, doesn't matter. They are in on it. So they are the last ones that will admit to it, because that will also show their participation and their guilt. So forget about the authorities, the government, the people who are supposed to be there to protect you. These are the ones that you cannot trust in this situation, and unfortunately in many others. So I would say one step, that, like I was on your program just the other day, and I thought it was amazing because on the show, while we were recording it, I said, here, what I've found out here on this coast is like they come with about 10 to 12 minutes intervals in lines. They start often before 7 o'clock in the morning. They come from the Malaga direction. They cross here where I am around Estepona. They go somewhere towards the south coast of Portugal, and then turn around, and then they come back in parallel lines on the level of the Sierra Bermeja, La Concha, then the mountainside, a little bit inland, further inland than that. And then they come every 10 or 12 minutes in a parallel line, so they just go next to the one that was there before, and then the next one, and then the next one. So in the end, these white, they're always very, very light white or super white, and slowly they start dissolving, and this beautiful blue sky that is supposed to be blue here like 300 days a year at least, that's what the Costa del Sol is famous for. Within hours, when you start watching, when these operations are ongoing, it turns into a white haze. It's a white haze. It's still sunny, but it's white haze. What is that? It's not supposed to be. There's not supposed to be any clouds at all, but there's this white thing. You look up again, look up towards the mountains, look towards Morocco, look at the air. When you look at Gibraltar, for instance, the air is white. Look up towards the mountain, the air itself is white, and the air you're standing in, breathing in, as well as your children, is white. You can't see it, but you can see it in a distance. And if you're in Fuengirola looking towards Estepona, the air will be white, the thing that I'm breathing in here. There's something so not right about this whole thing, and we need to take the power back and do it for ourselves. It's our responsibility.
The interesting thing is, after we did that interview, I went for a run, and you spoke about the planes that were coming my way, and I'm 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes away from you, aren't I? And then the planes turned around and were coming back towards you, and I sent you a message saying the planes are on the way back, right? And that was all within half an hour. I know, but I just don't get it, guys. Who, why, what's the plan, Zen? I mean, really, what's the plan? Is this eugenics?
I think so. It's definitely for the degradation of humanity. They're doing this knowing very well that it's compromising human health. The immune system is already battling GMOs, EMFs, vaccines, regular pollutants, and they just keep piling on with more stuff. The beautiful thing is they can't put us out. Here we are. We're alive, we're well, we're doing great, as are many others, but the weaker are falling by the side. As Willem pointed out, respiratory diseases are way up the charts now. It's very serious. It can bring on heart attacks, Alzheimer's from aluminum. I mean, there's very serious implications and complications that these horrific chemicals bring on. But I do think that they're well aware of that, and I think that's one of the programs. Like Willem said, there are many layers to this. They're aware of what they're doing. That's why they don't ask our permission. That's why they won't even admit it, that it's happening, because they know that the human mind has been so dumbed down from all those other things, plus fluoride in the water and everything else, that it is, and television, which is the worst toxin, I think. And the mainstream media, which is this hypnotic trance, it's causing people to not be able to recognize the obvious. That's why when you stand there pointing these things out, some people will say, well, what do you mean? And other people will go like, holy cow, I never even noticed that before. I mean, I do that on a heavy spray day. I'll stand there and point at the sky and say, what do you think that is? And I've learned to not be too abrupt and confrontational, but then we'll end up exchanging information, and the person's up and running, and they go, wow, something happened. I mean, that's my human responsibility. I've got to do that. I can't not do it. And that should be the attitude of everybody, I think. We've got to activate individually, personally, in communities. And like we've all been saying, it has to do with local community, because in many cases, local representatives are people that they know and they have an association with. And when this builds momentum, this has a tremendous effect. Not the least of which is people getting a affirmation of their sovereignty and their empowerment as an individual. And that's the most important thing that we need to realize here at this point. If we're to stand up, not just that, now they're putting out mandatory vaccines. I mean, what's that all about? Look what it does. It's been proven to cause autism and so many horrific, infant deaths, which they're blaming on the parents now. And it's just so dystopic. It's insane. But people are starting to get the point. And we can help raise that awareness. And anybody can help raise that awareness. I mean, I'm the type of person who commits to what he gets into. And this is my life. I mean, it's the life of not myself, my kids, my grandkids, my neighbors, the children in Gaza getting bombed and strafed by insane maniacs. There's so many wrong things going on. And now people being arrested for stupid, idiotic things that, for, whether they protest the government on Facebook or maybe their child walked to school by himself and they got their kids taken away. We're in serious straits. So if we don't learn to stand up, and be it this issue or some other issue, then we're betraying our very humanity. We're betraying source. If people believe in God, well, for God's sake, help humanity. For God's sake, react, respond, have compassion, have empathy, and demonstrate it in spite of what the social engineers have told us. We've been dumbed down in society to not respond. And that's the biggest, most crippling aspect of all of this engineering over the last, especially 5 or 6 decades or 2 centuries. But it's a long history of how these oligarchs and power freaks have managed humanity. So when we wake up to it, we need to be smart. We need to pick our battles. We need to respond. And we need to find out the most effective ways to group and find our own spiritual technologies, which I think is the ultimate solution to all of this, where we really awaken to a degree that there's this rise of vibration that's going on with humanity. We can tap into it, utilize it, and become the effective force that we already are, but need to realize in order to combat these kind of things. And this kind of information is paramount.
It's very interesting you say that, because there's the factual information and then there's the spiritual connection. And I truly believe that as a human race, we're so dumbed down at the moment that if we just woke up a little bit and try to change the frequency that we resonate on, it's going to make all the difference. And I'm coming from a place where I can see that's the way to go forward, but I just don't know how to do it. I mean, Willem, you were talking about flying on the planes, getting sick, and realizing that your environment was causing sickness. So that's kind of what we're talking about on a bigger scale with the chemtrails. But could you go deeper into that experience of yours?
Yes, well, that had the same effect on me as geoengineering has on most of us, because this forces us to to get a deep understanding of our physical and of our physical bodies, and to address higher levels of our consciousness, to understand what's happening and to find solutions. And the fact that we waiting for or looking for the solutions in government or authority to admit it, that's still clear the result of the severe mind control state we were in, especially because of education, that we seek for authority to come up with a solution. No, now we see we have to find it ourselves. So that's the beauty of it, that's the opportunity of it. And we can only find these solutions by experience, to go through this dark stuff, not on an intellectual level, but on an experiential level. So we have to go through it in order to that's a challenge, to go deeper in ourselves, to find solutions, because we have the solution in ourselves, but we're disconnected from it, from this potential we have by this mind control state, and especially education, outcome-based education. That's why we're still waiting for authority calm and having authority also in the solution. No, that's typically a beautiful evidence of our mind-controlled states, where we still are in. We're in a transition to overcome this and to disconnect from it, to reconnect with ourselves, with our true potential, where we have to go. Otherwise, we cannot survive in this madness. But it's the same, because I became sick, and my company was denying it, that this was the result of toxic elements in the aircraft. I did deep research in myself. I did serious meditation for really long periods in healing and all this stuff to understand what was happening. But this is the same thing we're in, although this is a much bigger scale, but it's exactly the same dynamics. And I mean, it's about control, and they're losing control. We are waking up, but we are still in a mind enlightenment. We are waking. The awakening is not a mind enlightenment; it's a being enlightenment. So we need to transit from because the awakening is not only the information, that's the mind which is awakened, the mind enlightenment, if you want to call it like that, but we have to reach for the being, the soul enlightenment. That's where you have to go. And in order to do that, we have to address higher frequencies, higher potential, and that's more on a heart level. That's where we're going. We're experiencing it. We're reconnecting. Things are manifesting much quicker. And so that's the solution also, this transition out of this mind into the completeness, the oneness, the wholeness of what we are. We have to go there, otherwise we cannot survive. And they control the atmosphere for weather warfare or for modification to control it, but that is also related to us, because we are breathing in exactly the same stuff as is in the atmosphere, and they can use the EMFs and all this ELF technology to control the weather, but also to control us. But they cannot control the other frequency spectrum, which we have in ourselves, which is in a much broader and another frequency spectrum. They cannot go there because they don't understand it, and they don't. This is so infinite. It's out of their reach. So, but we have to go there by going through this, by experiencing, by going through this dark period. But this is the opportunity, I think, the transition to that we go there. And we have to go there, otherwise we're stuck in these lower frequencies, which is also the informational vibrations, the internet, all this stuff, which is very important, but we shouldn't attach to it and stick on it. And if we go there, then we're out of reach. If we have contact, like on a heart level with each other, it's like it's not there. You experience it. It cannot manipulate that because it doesn't know how, and they have technology only in the lower frequencies. They're obsessed with lower frequencies. They want to keep us there because then they can control us. And that's in the brain. That's only the brain, the mind, the ego. That's in this frequency spectrum. So
it's very well said. You know, that's the ISIS gambit. You know, all the wars to keep us in fear, to keep me in fear, to be scared about my children, about my friends, the scarcity, because there is no scarcity. The whole universe is abundant. We can do whatever we want to do, and that's fine saying it, but living it is very different, and it takes discipline. It's spirituality. I need to touch God somehow, but there are certain things I can do. Okay, so one thing I've done is I've got involved with water on a big scale, really. I bought a Kangen Water machine. That's my first introduction, because I want to be drinking antioxidants. You know, I don't want to be drinking acid, as an example. I remove all the Coca-Cola, all the Pepsis and all that, get rid of all that rubbish from my life. But when I went down the road and I asked someone, would they look up, they looked up and they said, oh yeah, I know about that. But then they said, but what can I do? Now, that leads me on to you, Ole, because, you know, well, I'll just leave it there. What can I do?
Well, I can tell you my sweetheart, Kim Kamala Ekman, she was exactly in that situation. She's just a mother of three, concerned mother of three, seeing what's going on. And also she's followed me over so many years. And then last year she met Zen in person, she met Willem. You were both staying here in our house, and it was a fantastic experience. And she started feeling like, but what can I do? What can I do? So she came up with this brilliant idea of putting together 14 questions. And these are questions like, do chemtrails exist, for instance? What are GMOs? Describe the banking system, and what is it designed to do with humanity? Is there any dangers with vaccines? These type of questions. And then she interviewed 8 different people. Zen was one of them. I was one of them. I feel honored to be part of that group. David Icke was another, Ken O'Keefe, Sophia Smallstone, like you mentioned before, fantastic woman. Cynthia McKinney, wow. Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, and Dr. Kevin Barrett. And so it's a wide spectrum of incredible knowledge from many different areas. And these people have all devoted themselves to find the truth and to liberate us all. You know, so she put this together in a book. It's transcripts from the interviews directly, and then you can find it on Amazon now. It's called "So What Can I Do?" Exactly the question you asked.
Okay, I'm going to put a link in the description of this interview for that book. Let's support Kim. Let's buy it, distribute it, give it away as a gift for birthdays and Christmas coming up, because it's a great way, Ole, isn't it, to get people aware that A, there's something going on, and B, we've got a bit of power, especially if we wake up together like we are now. Okay, so let's say 2 years ago I had no idea of any of you guys, and here I am now talking to you about stuff that's a bit above my pay grade, really, and I'm getting into it. And I tell you what, I feel just passionate, because I'm passionate about living, and I want the best for my children, I want the best for my dog, I want the best for my friends and family, and there are things that we can do. Herschel36, I'm working on a brand new album. The best is yet to come. It's political electro punk. Click here, like and share. So, Zen, your top recommendations for Joe Blog like me, what would you suggest waking up to what I would call the global tyranny?
Well, you're no Joe Blow, I'll tell you that. You're one of us. You poor thing. Waking up can have some drastic consequences, eh? Oh, it's people can do so much. My theme has always been the awakening, and I have a book that I put together as well, thanks to Ole, who did yeoman's work of putting it together. But it's called "You Are the Awakening." You are the awakening. It's an individual process. First and foremost, people are looking for leaders. They're looking for answers from the external, as Willem was saying, and as Ole was saying too, about the importance of real activation. It comes down to the individual. We can't look external for solutions. That's what created the matrix today. If we weren't feeding the matrix wouldn't exist. It's like the pyramid. If everybody at the bottom just said, I quit, the pyramid collapses. It's the same story. The Wetiko understanding of this parasitic mind virus that is attacking humanity, very similar to the archontic idea. It requires this parasite. It requires our cooperation. If we don't cooperate, it can't exist. It feeds off of our energy. However you want to conceptualize it. I mean, there's so many ranges of understanding, which might sound far out, but ultimately they're all very simple. Our participation, our intention is what creates the world around us. When we accept somebody else's authority, we give them authority. You know, we're energizing them. When we say no, they have nobody to work with. You know, like the famous expression, what if there's a war and nobody came? It's that profound. But it has to be a grassroots awakening and understanding. But that can't happen unless each individual wakes up and doesn't look for others to wake them up or others to lead them. Yet, at the same time, each individual who wakes up vibrationally affects everybody else. It's a fascinating concept, and it's so empowering when you realize your personal effect, just you, Mr. Not Joe Blow, your awakening and your vibrational change encourages me. It heightens my elevation of understanding. It encourages Ole, it encourages Willem. It encourages everyone who's made the transition. That is pretty damn empowering. That's a pretty profound realization, and it's real. They call it the morphic field or whatever you want to call it. It's an energetic process, most of all. And you stop cooperating with the things you used to do, whether it's buying cola or it's spending time watching things or doing things that were meaningless or in relationships that were unfruitful. You withdraw from these other vibrational lower density vibrations, just like Willem said. You know, they thrive on this lower density stuff. We thrive on the higher density stuff. So when each time anybody makes that transition, it has a massive effect, and we each change the entire body of what's going on here. So it's kind of a paradox, you know. It might seem like a non-logical in a way, but really it's very fundamentally simple. And the effect that each of us has is so profound. Native cultures knew this. That's why they worked in unison. That's why they stayed in touch with their ancestors. That's why they stayed close to the earth. These are very important elements to keep us grounded and as well as heightened in our understanding. So, I mean, that's how I view real activism. It is a very profound experience, yet it's also very, very simple and very practical. And it starts with community. It starts with people waking up. Information helps, but it's not a be-all, end-all. It's not the end. A lot of people get stuck in that loop. As Willem was saying, we have to keep progressing. What are we being showed? What are we being told? What are we being offered that's more and beyond? But that requires going into the unknown, and that's a little scary for most of us. But hey, let's do it, because what's the option? The option is extermination. We're being exterminated very clearly, be it chemtrails and all these other horrible vectors of attack on humanity. We're in a horrific situation in the external, but it is nothing but an opportunity. It is an opportunity, and if apparently it takes this to wake humanity up, I say so be it. Bring it on, because if people are that asleep, and it's going to take something pretty drastic to snap them out of it, well, it's better they're awake and than asleep. Basically, it's so important, and it's a paradox. Things do not line up like normal reasoning, and people can take this kind of argument apart every which way from Sunday regarding whether it makes so-called sense. But that's according to the old way of thinking. That's got to go out the window. We have to think consciously now, and be heart-centered, as Willem was saying. It's important to be. We have to transcend into a new form of being, and I like to liken it to the rise of the warrior within us. That there's something in us that calls us and calls everybody to something else, and it's time to listen to it. And it's an emergency. Yet at the same time, it's nothing to be fearful about. It's nothing to be fearful about. It's exciting to the most major degree, and an opportunity of ages that we're living in. So personally, I would have it any other way.
I love that. There is a calling. It is a calling. There is something beyond us that is calling us as beings to wake up from our slumber and to realize that something is going on. I have my own personal view. So Willem, on the topic of frequency, clearly we've got the low frequencies: fear, hatred, greed, jealousy, which is the banking facility for me. And then we've got love, we've got joy, we've got spirituality right at the top. So what are your top 3 frequencies, and how do we get there?
Well, I think it's very important that we take care of ourselves to start with, because we need to heal ourselves from what we came from. So because our external reality is a reflection of our inner reality, so we need to heal ourselves in order to change our external reflection or reality. So everybody has a unique constellation, a biochemical constellation. We're all unique, we're all connected, we're all one, but we're all unique manifestations, individual manifestations of a collective oneness, consciousness. But for instance, detoxing is a very important, essential element to nurture our bodies, because we've neglected our bodies for a long time, and we need to take care of that. So detoxing is a crucial element in it. You can do a lot of practical protections against all these assaults. For radiation, you can do a lot of practical things. Well, you can find loads of things. We became more and more creative to protect ourselves, but you have to take this responsibility. That's why it's so crucial, what Zen also mentioned, to wake up this inner warrior and really see this as a war. This is a war on us, on humanity. And because of that, you create a sort of fight-flight mechanism, a biochemical reaction, and that puts you into business, and that will give you the answers you need. Nobody can tell you exactly what to do. You can use the informational field, you can use each other, but you know your answers. The answers are all in yourself. But you have to first take this responsibility. Awakening the inner warrior is a very crucial element in it, because you do it automatically. If you're under attack, you will act. But again, this is very interesting to see the parallels with the period when I was a whistleblower. I've seen colleagues dying. They were in really bad shape, and they could do very simple things to protect themselves, or just check yourself if you're a bad detoxifier. I mean, we're all capable of detoxifying. We're more sensitive to different exposures to different elements, but they just didn't do it, and they died. So and we're in this situation now, so we have to act. And detoxing and healing, self-healing, is very important. And if you heal yourself, you heal your environment, you heal Mother Earth. To step out of this fragmented me, like yesterday, I was on the street, and I had this. I saw a homeless guy on the street here in The Hague. I often are in contact with them, and I stepped by and I went back to give him a hug. I thought, no, I have to give this hug before, and it was amazing contact. We had amazing contact, and the happiness that goes into the infinite. It goes without needing it. For me, it's just you put something in there, and it just has an effect on everything. I mean, the magnetic field of the heart is 5,000 or 6,000 times stronger than the brain magnetic field. So can you imagine what if you do actions from the heart by intention? These are way more powerful than from the brain. So, and they want to stay us into the brain. come and get us in the legal courts or in this stuff. No, if we come from the heart, and they cannot get there because they don't have a heart. So, but take care of yourself and heal yourself. That's a very crucial element, because we sometimes forget it because we lose ourselves in what we now discovered. But taking care of ourselves is very difficult because we've not been taught how to do it, and that's a very important thing. But it's also included in this beautiful awakening. What's happening? So, but it's crucial, and we tend to forget it because we are lazy.
That's right. Lazy. Yeah, I want someone else to look after me.
Exactly.
But I've had.
So last thing, then it's very helpful to make a habit, because you're lazy, and if you make it a habit to make your detox drink, then you just do it. But so then make it a habit of these kinds of things. That's helpful. That's right. Just do it for a long time.
So I've had to come off alcohol, cigarettes, drugs. I used to take drugs a lot just to escape. I couldn't deal with reality. And then via talking to people like yourselves, I've started taking iodine, was it oud oil? Ole? Yeah, which I've just started taking. Detoxing my body, liver cleanse, and it goes on and on and on and on. But slowly, my body is feeling stronger and younger. And then there's the mind, because I suffer from bouts of depression, and I'm not good enough, and all this sort of rubbish that's pumped into me as a kid. And then the spiritual melody. I need a connection with God. So there are 3 things that we can all do. There's lots of things that we can do. But Ole, what would you suggest? What would be your top 3 things that people could do? Just take away from this short interview.
Focus on love. Focus on love, and focus on love in each and every situation. This is what I love about this whole area, because I've spent so many years, just like Zen and Willem and so on, filling my head with information about these dark things. But what good is it if my heart is not there? And it is such a strange paradox that you need the information to open your heart. They're not really clear, but they are. It's you need the information to become aware of your heart and all the layers that have been on hiding it from you. So the native Indians, some tribes say that we, the souls that are here now, are the strongest of the strong. That we have been chosen by our ancestors to come down here at this point in history to deal with these things, because this is not a time for wimps. Here we've been chosen. Now we're here and we say, oh, I don't want to. Sorry, you bought the ticket. You are here for the ride. So let's do it the best way. Do it with honor. Do it with follow truth. Do beautiful stuff. Use the time you have here on earth. The time is very limited. You can freak out and hide under the bed, or you can stand tall and proud and maybe die. You're going to die anyway. So at least do it with some style, and do it in a way so that you can see yourself in the mirror and say, listen, I'm proud of myself. I did what I could, and now it's time for me to leave. It is a fantastic time, I think. Absolutely amazing. And every time you freak out, and you think, oh my God, this is just so horrible, horrible, horrible. Ask yourself, have I lately been looking into that black box in front of myself, the one with an on-off button? Have I read too many newspapers? If it's that horrible, compare it when you look out the window. What does it look like out there? If have a look down, check out the ants, check out the flowers, the way they're created, and see what is horrible in my life, and start going into gratitude instead. The more grateful for what you have, you don't know how long you will have it for. Maybe you will die tonight, maybe you will die tomorrow, maybe in 45 years, who knows? But the more grateful you are, not just saying I'm grateful, but really feeling it, feel it, that rises your energy and makes you more and more difficult for them to get at you, to get hold of you, because they want you fearful. They want your head down in the mud where they can control you. Fear, ISIS, crap, terror attacks, all of these things is to push you down. But I say, let's just transcend above it. Know about it, wake up from it, and let's just transcend it. And please understand that so many of these things we're talking about are connected behind the curtains. Chemtrails, vaccines, assassinations, false flag terror, war, they are all connected. And people who are making the decisions behind it, the decisions that really affects our lives without us knowing it, they are in the thousands. Really, they are in the thousands. We are in the billions. So why are we even fearful? And I just want to say the last thing here. What is power? You have such a thing, a person like Mussolini or Adolf Hitler or Idi Amin or Henry Kissinger. You have somebody like that. And then you have an obese lady. If she sits on one of these guys, will he be able to move? The answer is no. So who is more powerful? And these people that are in power are mostly older guys. We say, oh, they've got all this high-tech technology, weaponry and radar system and identification system and surveillance. They wouldn't know what to do with it if you put them in front of the sticks or the keyboards. They would have no idea. We are doing it to ourselves. Without us, they are nothing. Their only talent is that they can lie, deceive, manipulate, be absolute cowards and hide under the desk while sending other people to unjust wars. They have no talents that are worth anything for humanity. So let's take the power back. It is time, really, after all of these years, come on. Yeah, I know I say that, but it's like, come on. Let's transcend this whole thing and have a party, enjoy life, and let's get on with it. But at least,
baby.
See it. It's no. Life is good in God's
Beautifully
neighborhood.
said, mate. Zen, to wrap this up, how can people get in contact with you? And I'll put a link to your book in the footnotes of the YouTube channel.
ZenGardner.com, or they can email me at zen@zengardner.com, or go to the Facebook page and drop a note. I'd love to hear from anybody. Love to help any way I can. I spend a lot of time in correspondence. It's all about the personal touch. It's all about individuals. So I think that's really important. So I'd be happy to hear from anybody. But please do, anyone listening, and stay tuned to this great show. I mean, this is obviously somebody who's got it and onto it big time. So I'm honored to be here. I just want to tell you again, and it's a magnificent time, as Ole was saying. It's a magnificent time, but it's like surfing. If you're not paddling forward to catch the wave, it's going to overcome you. So get your information together and then transcend into more awakening, research more spiritual things, conscious awareness. There's a lot of wonderful information and encouragement out there. But start paddling, because you can ride the wave and have a lot of fun, or you can get crushed by it. And it's becoming more catalyzed by the minute. So it's important that people really catch on and apply themselves to it. Like Willem said, you can't be lazy. You can't just hang back and kind of hope things are going to get better. Hope is a bunch of bunk. It's either you do or you don't. So take action and be bold, be brave, have faith, listen to your heart, trust your heart, and we're all in this together. We're all the same. We're all the same vibration, reaching out and and longing to manifest that magnificent love that we've been given in our hearts, and that's where we'll find each other.
Well said. Willem, to wrap this up again, I have, as I said, friends who are pilots who will not even talk to me about this, but if someone's in that field, are you happy for them to approach you and for you to talk to them? And if so, how could they speak to you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, anyone can contact me, and I like to speak with pilots because it's still my passion, aviation. So they can always contact me if they want to speak about it. But I've noticed that pilots are still their life and their job is very sacred. So it's difficult for them to speak out. That's why no politician is speaking out, because the moment they speak out, they lose their job, or they're being separated from the group. So, they can. Everybody can contact me. So, of course.
How would they do that, Willem?
Well, they can contact me via email. I have a website, but you cannot contact me on the website. I will send you my details, and then people can, if they want to contact me, they're free to contact me, and I'd be happy to talk with them.
Perfect. I'll put that in the footnotes. And Ole Dammegard, lightonconspiracies.com. Just to wrap this up, would you let people know how they can reach you, and maybe we could end with a prayer?
For sure. Like you say, my website is lightonconspiracies.com. I've written several books, and one of them is Coup d'etat in slow motion. You can find it on Amazon, about the assassination of Olof Palme, but with all the connections all the way back to the JFK and many others. But also, since we're talking so much about on the spiritual level, I've written a small little, it's like a 1-hour power book called Remind Me, how to remind you, how to I love the word brainwashing, because I think this is what we really need, to give the brain a good rinse, because it's been pumped up and filled with so much crap. We need to rinse it out, give it a good, like a lot of fresh water in there, give it a lot of space so it can start breathe and think again. And so it's called Remind Me. You can find that on Amazon as well. And my email is info@lightonconspiracies. And this is a very hand-picked word, because this is exactly what all three of us are trying to do, is spread light on these dark things. Go in to the darkest of the dark corner, but with the intention of love, forgiveness, compassion, and just by aiming the light at these forces that can only thrive in darkness. They are really like cockroaches. You switch on the light, they go away. It's these dark forces, they have nothing to put up against the forces of love and light. So total compassion, non-violence, this is the way to focus on these things. Forgiveness. And the prayer that I always finish with is my Raja Yoga teacher, Melanie Chellerans, and it goes like this. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May everyone, and especially the ones who hurt us, be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Victory to that light.
Gents, thank you very, very much. Very emotional. And the one thing is, chemtrails are very real, and the other thing is, so is spirituality. And I wish all three of you well, and until next time, this is Herschel36 signing off. God bless. Hey, I'm Herschel36. Thanks for watching Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, and don't forget to subscribe. You gotta subscribe. This is brought to you by justfinishitrecords.co.uk. Herschel36, where truth is stranger than fiction.